He said, oh, what shit? He dropped this done deal.
Bro, let them know
It's
you
a done deal.
bro. You like,
It's a done deal.
Let them know you dropping me,
I
bro.
drop you.
No, I'm saying,
Pooh
nigga.
Shiesty dropped from 1017. Shout out. Yeah.
Real nigga ain't never did no police shit or none of that, bro. Tell them what's going on.
Bro, we just did that. That's done.
What you do?
You dropped. You said you want to be dropped, you dropped.
Scrap
in.
paper and
It's
everything.
done.
You've probably seen the headline by now. Gucci Mane released footage of Pooh Shiesty robbing him. Except that's not actually what happened, and the real story is far more serious than a viral clip. There is no footage. What exists is a federal criminal complaint, an FBI affidavit, a kidnapping indictment carrying a potential life sentence, and a man who held a spot on his label roster for 3 years while his signee sat in federal prison, only to allegedly end up with a gun pointed in his face the moment that signee came home. Here's the actual documented timeline. Lontrell Williams Jr., born November 8, 1999, in Memphis, started putting out music independently in 2019. By 2020, Gucci Mane, Radrick Davis, one of the architects of trap music and the man behind launching Young Thug's career, noticed him and signed him to a joint venture between 1017 Records and Atlantic, reportedly worth $10 million. Shiesty said at the time, nobody else was coming at him the way Gucci was, and it made perfect sense. The momentum was immediate. Gucci put him on key 10117 projects, and by November 2020, Shiesty dropped Back in Blood featuring Lil Durk, which hit number 13 on the Hot 100. He was named an XXL freshman and Billboard's Hip Hop Rookie of the Month within less than a year of signing. Then his debut tape Shy Season dropped in February 2021 and debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, a statement of a first project that most rappers never come close to. But the legal trouble had already started before any of that fully landed. In October 2020, before Shy Season even dropped, he was arrested in connection with a shooting in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, where prosecutors alleged he and others arrived to buy weed, codeine, and sneakers, and someone in his group produced a weapon during the exchange. 2 people were shot and survived. Investigators tied him to the scene partly through his own Instagram. A Louis Vuitton bag found at the scene matched one he'd posted online, and some of the $100 bills in it matched serial numbers visible in his own Flex posts. In June 2021, he was arrested again over a Memorial Day shooting at a Miami strip club and formally indicted on the Bay Harbor charges that same month. By January 2022, he pleaded guilty to one narrowed count: conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of crimes of violence and drug trafficking, with prosecutors dropping 3 other charges, including one that carried a potential life sentence. Judge Kevin Michael Moore sentenced him in April 2022 to 63 months, 5 years and 3 months, plus 3 years of supervised release and $35,000 in restitution. He was 22 years old, sitting at number 3 on the Billboard 200, in the middle of one of the most promising rookie runs in modern rap. Then it all stopped. Here's the part that makes everything that allegedly followed so hard to process. While Shiesty was locked up, Gucci Mane restructured nearly his entire 1017 roster in 2024, dropping most of his signed artists for profit and loss reasons. He made a point of keeping 2 names on the label, Fujiano and Pooh Shiesty, even with Shiesty's release still roughly 18 months away. He confirmed again to TMZ in 2025 that Shiesty remained signed. That kind of loyalty toward an incarcerated artist is genuinely rare in this industry. Most labels move on. Gucci kept the door open. Shiesty was released early on October 6, 2025, under the First Step Act, shaving about 6 months off his original release date through good behavior. His attorney said he was elated, calling it the beginning of a real second act. On December 12, 2025, Shiesty dropped FDO, his first post-prison single. It debuted at 22 on the Hot 100 and hit number 1 on both Billboard's Hot R&B/Hip-Hop and Hot Rap charts. After 3 years away, that's not just a strong comeback. That's proof the audience never left. But underneath that momentum, something else was reportedly building. According to the federal affidavit, Shiesty had grown dissatisfied with his existing contract terms at 1017. Reporting from Complex and other outlets indicated Yo Gotti's CMG label had also expressed interest in signing him, which would have meant Shiesty jumping straight into the middle of a historically complicated relationship between 2 major Southern label bosses. That tension is the backdrop, prosecutors say, led to January 10, 2026. According to the federal complaint, Shiesty arranged a meeting at a recording studio on Dallas Parkway, framed as a discussion about his 1017 contract. Gucci Mane, referred to in the complaint as RD, flew in with two industry associates believing it was a standard business sit-down. Once inside, Shiesty allegedly asked to speak with Gucci privately in a separate room, joined by his father and fellow Memphis rapper Big 30. What was supposed to be a private conversation allegedly turned violent. Prosecutors say Shiesty produced contract termination paperwork and demanded Gucci sign it. When Gucci initially refused, Shiesty allegedly pulled a black AK-style pistol from a bag and pointed it at him until he signed. Afterward, Shiesty allegedly took his wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. While that was happening, prosecutors say the other two victims outside that room were confronted by additional defendants with firearms. One choked nearly unconscious and robbed of a Rolex and a bag, another shoved onto a couch and robbed of his wallet and jewelry. Big 30 allegedly physically blocked the studio door, so nobody could leave, which is where the kidnapping charge originates. According to the complaint, the victims believed at points they might be killed. The evidence against Shiesty is layered. His ankle monitor, active because he was still on supervised release from his 2022 conviction, placed him at the studio that day, directly contradicting any claim he wasn't present. Cell phone records and license plate data showed the group traveling together from Memphis to Dallas and staying at a hotel afterward. Fingerprints recovered from items in the studio, including red plastic cups, tied multiple defendants to the scene. Several defendants were reportedly seen on social media in the following days displaying cash and jewelry consistent with what was taken. Investigators also found that Shiesty's father had visited a Staples store hours before the meeting, where prosecutors believe the contract release paperwork was printed in advance, suggesting this wasn't an argument that spiraled, but something prosecutors believe was planned from the start. Big 30's alleged role went beyond just being present. Prosecutors say he handed Shiesty the bag containing the weapon, filmed Gucci signing under duress, and blocked the exit. He was on the verge of signing a seven-figure recording deal at the time of his arrest, which prosecutors actually used as an argument against granting him bond, framing it as a flight risk rather than a stabilizing factor. 8 of 9 defendants were arrested across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville in early April 2026. A federal grand jury returned an indictment later that month, charging all 9 with conspiracy to commit kidnapping, substantive kidnapping and extortion, and transporting stolen goods across state lines, each facing up to life in prison on the kidnapping conspiracy count alone. At the detention hearing, prosecutors leaned on the ankle monitor data, the Staples receipt, the social media posts, and the fact that personal items like Gucci's wedding ring were taken, not just cash, arguing that detail alone undercuts any claim this was just a heated business dispute. The defense pushed back hard on real gaps. The FBI hadn't directly interviewed Gucci or the other victims before the arrests. There was a 3-month delay between the incident and the arrests, and the actual signed contract document at the center of the extortion claim had never been recovered or produced. Still, the judge ordered Shiesty held, stating plainly that the weight of the evidence against him was strong. Shiesty pleaded not guilty to all charges in May 2026. Trial is set for July 6th in federal court in Dallas. Now here's where that misleading headline actually comes from. Gucci Mane never released footage. What he did was drop a song called Crash Dummy on April 10th, days after the arrests. Lyrics about betrayal from someone close to him, about not biting the hand that feeds you, about giving everything to someone who was still signed to him through all of it. No names, but the references were unmistakable. Commentary channels picked it up, clips spread, and somewhere in that cycle, Gucci dropped a diss track, became Gucci released footage of the robbery. That's how the internet compressed a federal case into a single, inaccurate sentence. What actually happened here, if the allegations hold up, isn't just a crime. It's the collapse of one of the more genuine mentorship stories in recent Southern rap. A label boss who held a roster spot for 3 years of incarceration, only to allegedly have the first move his artist made upon release be walking into a room with a weapon over a contract he wanted out of. The trial in July will determine which version of this story is true, but the documented facts already on record are serious enough on their own, no embellishment required. Let me know what you think actually happened in that studio, and subscribe for updates as the case moves toward trial.